So with Nick Sirianni on the hot seat, there's a report that seems to put him in the clear. Except, well, why did owner Jeffrey Lurie postpone his meeting with the head coach, and what could that mean for other candidates? Plus, Jason Kelce may not be retiring after all, but instead it sounds like it'll be Fletcher Cox. That and everything else following the Eagles' fallout. So let's talk about it. But first, let's run it. What's up, everybody? So obviously I'm late getting the vid out, but I've got a fantastic reason because my wife and I birthed the newest Eagles fan in the world when Charlotte June Davis was born, and you better believe she's all 8 pounds, 20 inches of fly Eagles fly. Although let me just say, I'm gonna find it really tough when she asks me, "Hey Dad, tell me about Jason Kelce's final year with the Eagles and how they just blew it." To which I'll reply, "Honey, it was just the really bad coaching staff."
You maniac! You blew it up!
Alright, I should mention that technically Kelce may not be retiring, but we'll get to that. Yet it's pretty crazy when you consider that just 50 days ago, this team was 10-1 after an insane and very improbable comeback to beat Buffalo in overtime. Yeah, I know, we were all seeing the flaws, but the Birds just kept finding ways to get it done, despite some really fortunate breaks and timely miscues from opponents. So sure, I think most Eagles fans would have told you we weren't playing up to the standard.
It's not a matter of winning or losing, it's just about playing to the standard, and we didn't play to the standard. Typically, when you play to the standard, you win. And I don't think we played to the standard and won yet.
I'm sorry, but the same rhetoric week after week just got old. Oh wait, but not nearly as old as watching Brian Johnson dial up screenplays to the tune of an NFL record. Like, this dude dialed up 690 screenplays this season, accumulating a grand total of negative 26 yards. Yet for some reason, never went away from it.
I don't know if I can answer that question for you. I don't know if I can answer that question. That was the mode that we were in offensively.
I'll be so glad when we're done with that BS play calling. And as much as I hated watching it on Monday night, the 32-9 embarrassment was just made even worse since the Eagles offense finished as just the 5th team in the Super Bowl era to not convert a 3rd or 4th down.
I'm not even mad. That's amazing.
Look, I'm with you that you thought you could have converted one time during the entire game, especially with the unstoppable tush push. Yet shoddy play calling plus the NFL's new answer to stop the brotherly shove kind of makes 0 for 11 seem more believable. Oh yeah, that secret everyone was looking for on how to stop Philly from 1 to 2 yards out appears to be just launch your linebacker over the pile and try to rip the ever-living off of Jalen Hurts' helmet. Sorry, I know, even with a couple missed calls, that wasn't going to change the fact that we were doomed from the start. And understandably, the frustration was everywhere, with Dallas Goedert seeming to get upset at Jalen for a missed conversion and just not seeing the field well. However, the tight end didn't agree with that notion afterward.
I don't think me and Jalen had any problems all game. I think I saw the clip. It was hard to tell what part of the game it was, but I think it was on the 3rd down, and I missed a signal, and I, could have messed up a big play to Smitty there early in the game. I think that's when it was, and it was my fault. I missed the sign, and it could have been a big play to Smitty. So I was just a little frustrated with myself, not Jalen at all. Me and him got a great relationship. I don't think we've ever had an argument. So it was nothing that it's an emotional game. It was, we didn't get it on 3rd down, so everybody's a little upset, but it was, we got no beef at all.
Okay, fine. Whether you believe him or he's just saying the right things to the media, it's not really that big of a deal. Yet it does point to the bigger story that ESPN's Tim McManus reported, stating the offense chock full of Pro Bowl level talent has underperformed and shown its frustration. Sideline spats have carried over to tension in the locker room, where team sources say disagreements have occasionally devolved into finger pointing. With McManus continuing, on top of those struggles, Jalen Hurts' desired direction for the offense has not materialized, which has been a source of disappointment for the franchise quarterback, according to a source with direct knowledge of Hurts' thinking. A disconnect between the visions of Sirianni, Hurts, and offensive coordinator Brian Johnson has affected the offense's ability to land on an identity. And sure, I'm right there with you because my first question was, who's the source with direct knowledge into Hurts' thinking, and can we actually believe this report? However, as the Inquirer's Jeff McClain confirms, Jalen didn't deny McManus' report when asked about him not being happy with the direction of the offense. Look, anytime you have a season in this way, you're never going to be happy with it, and when your franchise quarterback is possibly getting there too, it might be the time to pull the plug. Unless you're LaShawn McCoy, that is, who said Sirianni may coach, lead his team, and get guys ready to play, but he's not out there throwing footballs. He doesn't catch passes, he doesn't make tackles, and he doesn't make blocks. I think Jalen is a phenomenal player and excellent leader, but when you're a $200+ million quarterback getting blitzed, you need to make checks, make adjustments, and figure it out. I mean, look at the Bills and Chiefs. If they ain't playing well, we ain't going to be like, oh, what about the coordinators and coach? He has to put his team on his back. Hold on, Jalen's not perfect, I'll give you that, but when the Bucs are sending their 50th blitz of the game and your answer consists of nothing quick for Jalen, what's he supposed to do? And curious where all you guys are at with Shady's take. Like, I'm sorry, we've seen way too many looks like this one where, sure, all Jalen's got to do is avoid the free rusher and then somehow figure out a way to get the ball to a receiver who's very well guarded. Or, better yet, just two guys running in the same space. I mean, if that's me, I'd be upset too with those kind of looks from the coaches.
What the hell is wrong with you people?
Okay, again, Jalen's definitely got to get better with his pocket presence, yet judging by the fact that the play calling hasn't changed all year and really only gotten worse, I think the writing's on the wall. Because Eagles owner Jeffrey Lurie looked like he'd seen more than enough in Tampa. Seriously, do you think after the Buffalo game he actually thought this squad would go 1-6 while losing in some of the most embarrassing fashions? By the way, just for those counting, the Birds managed to finish the season with a minus 82 point differential in their final 7 games, which was the worst in the NFL. It actually gets worse though. In fact, this year's team now holds the dubious record for the worst point differential in NFL history for a team that started the season 10-1, as they capped off the year with a grand total of negative 18 in that category. So maybe not the best parlay into an exit interview for Nick Sirianni, where NFL Network's Ian Rappaport shared Sirianni and Lurie will hold their exit interview with the head coach getting a chance to make his final pitch to stay on.
Please. Give me one good reason why I shouldn't fire you right here on the spot. I have excellent sales numbers. Not good enough. I'll do anything. Anything. Please, I'll do your laundry for a month.
Okay, honestly, you guys know this, but I didn't really think there was a chance he could save his job. However, it sounds like he may have after all, as ESPN's Dianna Russini reported that both Eagles GM Howie Roseman and head coach Nick Sirianni have been reaching out to NFL coaches, coordinators, as well as coaching agents across the league to evaluate potential coordinator candidates to join their coaching staff as they plan for the 2024 season, which feels a lot like Sirianni is coming back.
No, God! No, God, please, no! No!
Sorry. Okay, who here thinks that's a good idea? Well, I guess those of you that are in that line of thinking would get a thumbs up from Jason Kelce and Fletcher Cox.
Nobody was good enough this year. I wasn't, none of the players, none of the coaches are good enough down the stretch. That's the reality of this business. When you're that bad, it's a collective thing. And but I'll always have faith in Nick Sirianni. I think he does a lot of things structurally and organizationally that I think are really well done. Obviously, we got a lot of things to fix to improve the outcomes and the offense in general. From my perspective for next year, but no, I think very, very highly next year.
Like any news about what about Nick?
Nick, I mean, there's obviously some speculation about whether he may be fired or not.
Huh?
Yeah.
Come on, man. No, man, he head football coach of this team, man. Come on, man. There ain't even no discussion about that.
Yeah, okay, you don't think it's going to happen?
I don't got nothing to say about that, man. You're a clown, bro. Get out of my face.
Dude, bro is mad. However, if Howie and Nick are calling about potential candidates, it's hard not to make the connection that Brian Johnson and Matt Patricia, and probably Sean Desai too, are 99.9% sure to be handed the pink slip. Plus, speculation has heated up around Ron Rivera, with the Commanders' former head coach saying he wants to coach in 2024 and has multiple opportunities and is open to the idea of a defensive coordinator role. I mean, it's not like Riverboat Ron is the worst option, but not exactly sure I want him running the defense. And maybe I shouldn't feel this way, but honestly, offense is my top priority, which is why I'm not really in favor of Sirianni sticking around. Because as we all know, the Eagles run an incredibly basic high school offense, thanks to Nick. And the bigger dilemma is that even if a new OC comes in and works his magic, then it's guaranteed he's going to get poached away and we're back to where we started with Sirianni. In that, as much as I love his passion, he's not as good of an offensive coach as he thinks he is. Of course, there's still a chance Sirianni gets let go, because Dianna Russini initially buried the lead and then came back to let us know that even though the calls happening may suggest Nick Sirianni is safe, I'm told he has not met with owner Jeffrey Lurie, something that was not possible today because of logistical issues. Until that meeting happens, all bets are off. Hang on though, if you think that's good, PFT commentator who's famously known for tracking owners' planes shared that Jeffrey Lurie's plane flew to the hometown of Minnesota Vikings head coach Kevin O'Connell, who owns a house there.
Snip, snap, snip, snap, snip, snap.
What the heck is going on? Okay, look, I'm not buying the fact that O'Connell's going to be the Birds' next head coach, but at first glance, you can't deny that it's a little bit strange. However, like Jeff McClain pointed out, Jeffrey Lurie likely wants Nick Sirianni to come to their exit meeting with what he considers a strong list of coordinator and assistant candidates. 3 years ago, Doug Peterson did not meet the Eagles owner's expectations and was let go. Howie Roseman helped facilitate previous coordinator and assistant hires for Andy Reid, Chip Kelly, Peterson, and Sirianni, partly because he has many contacts around the league with agents and coaches. And that's fine, but here's the dilemma. If the Birds take too much time and let go of Sirianni later, then you're going to miss out on all these prime candidates, which leads me to believe the longer this plays out that Sirianni is safe. Even still, it's worth pointing out that the top odds for the head coach with Philly if Sirianni was fired is Mike Vrabel. And honestly, I wouldn't hate it, but one thing's for certain, according to Howard Eskin, that it won't be Bill Belichick, saying, I can tell you for a fact that Jeffrey Lurie is not a fan of Belichick. I can tell you that. I know that. And Clay Harbor also added to that notion, saying, I personally remember him speaking about Spygate and how he loved beating the Pats.
Well, well, well. How the turntables...
Okay, I still don't think it's going to be Belichick. Yet Donovan McNabb's throwing a completely different line of thinking into this decision-making, saying, I don't think they should move on from Nick Sirianni. I'm going to tell you who should be on the hot seat, and that should be your GM, Howie Roseman. We may have held on to some people too long, and then we paid some people that shouldn't have been paid. All right, am I crazy, or is he crazy? Like, I'll agree that Howie's made some mistakes, and none bigger than James Bradberry. I mean, it's amazing how quickly of a decline the 30-year-old's had this season, with perhaps his final game in Philly ending in 6 targets, 5 receptions allowed, which, by the way, the one of those was ended up being dropped, 108 yards, 4 first downs, and 1 touchdown. But the sad part is it wouldn't surprise me if we see JB come back considering his $12+ million cap hit. I don't know, maybe Howie's seen enough, but what are you guys hoping happens to JB? Okay, sorry, that's a given, but better question, do you still have faith in Howie vision? Obviously, nobody's perfect, and allowing some of the guys to walk last year definitely hurt us, plus the devaluing of linebacker probably caught up to him. However, whenever it comes to McNabb's comments about the old guys, Kelce, Fletch, and BG, they were some of the best players this season. So the good news is BG said he wants to come back if the Eagles are willing to have him, calling it a farewell tour of sorts. And personally, I'd say why not? Keep a positive veteran presence in the locker room as a rotational pass rusher. But then Fletch is a little bit more uncertain, even though the 33-year-old had a solid season, and I'd love to see him come back and play. Jordan Davis may have spilled the bean on the vet's decision.
And I think that's the most important thing, is just to reflect on these moments that I spent with Fletch, man, and Kelce and all those guys, man. Like, I'm ashamed that we couldn't send them out the right way, but I'm grateful for the moments that we had, and I got to at least say, you know, when it's all said and done in my career, yeah, I played with Fletch for 2 years. Yeah, I played with Jason Kelce for 2 years. Yeah, I played for BG. I think he's coming back for his homegoing. And you're just like, man, like, I played with those guys. Just had that experience and all those stories I could tell. Even though it's for a short 2 years, a lot of guys could tell for more, but I'm very grateful for those moments.
Yeah, we're all feeling that way, JD. Yet the biggest news is that despite Adam Schefter and others reporting Jason Kelce will be retiring after the playoff loss, the future Hall of Famer wouldn't exactly agree.
I just don't think you're in a position after a game like that to really make that decision. I just don't. There's too much emotion in the moment to really fully grasp that decision. I'm not trying to be dramatic and continue to draw this thing out. I'm really not. It's just something that I think, when it's time to officially announce what's happening in the future, it'll be done in a way that's, definitive and pays respect to a lot of people and individuals that have meant a lot to me and has led to the career I've had. I don't think that it would be respectful or even accurate to be able to do that right after a game like that.
Yeah.
But I did address the team and pretty much said the same thing that I just said to you, which is, I got belief in every single one of you guys, cherish the moment you have in this league. A lot of guys like, if that is your last game, I feel sorry for you. And I'm like, don't feel sorry for me, motherfucker. I had a
Hell yeah, brother.
Look, I think everyone's excited about even the remote possibility of Kelce returning. And it makes sense to speculate, especially seeing all the emotion from the GOAT on the sideline. Not gonna lie, that was pretty emotional for me too. And it kind of did feel like that might have been his final game. Add on top of that the 36-year-old admitted to feeling fatigued and that this was the first year where he still felt sore on a Wednesday following a game, while also thinking about long-term ramifications of continuing to play. However, the positive spin on this is that the dude did leave the door open for the possibility that he comes back. What do you think though? If you had to bet today, is Kelce returning, or was that the final game for the King of South Philly? Another player I know we're all curious about is DeAndre Swift, and while he'd no doubt be good for the run game, it sounds like Swift may be looking for a payday.
If the opportunity presents itself, we'll see when it gets there.
Honestly, I don't blame him, because Howie's never going to pay a running back anyway. Heck, he doesn't ever extend one for that same reason, but I guess that doesn't matter as much, considering we don't know what the makeup of his offensive scheme is going to look like until we decide on the head coach. But make sure to subscribe and keep those notifications turned on, because we'll be live with any updates. And also, go ahead and drop your ideal coaching staff, assuming Sirianni stays on. Who would you want as the OC and the DC? This has been the Philly Special.